Hello. We are excited today. Not excited the fact that Stephen is not with us to run this program. He asked me to step in, so I will be your surrogate host today. Dan Cobb, CMO of One Door Studios and MyStreme. Looking forward to this conversation because we have a really big announcement today. This is a conversation we've been having quietly in the background with an organization that we love, that has a common value system, friends of the family for a long time. And we've made a letter of intent with Clearplay. And we have with us today Matt Jarman, the founder of Clearplay, the co-founder. He was a visionary back in the days of DVD distribution and family-friendly content delivery, and now offering a streaming technology that we would like to talk about as a team. So one of the questions we get often, and this is a question we get in social media, you're never going to be able to do this. That's what many people say. You can't edit. The studios won't let you edit, Matt. Legally, you're going to break the user agreements. By the way, they're not going to let you have all this content from all these different studios. They're not going to play well together. But Clearplay brings specifically, and these I can list: Amazon, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Showtime, Stars, Cinemax, and Freevee, right? All of that is available to us on a single platform when we work with you. And it's all offered with the edited versions of these films. Mm-hmm. And legally, you're not allowed to do that, are you?
No, we are. Yeah, that's been one of the, and I talk about the different revolutions. There's always been resistance along the way to some of these, right? Where you had, your windowing, which is, okay, we're have it in theatrical now, and then we'll have it on streaming, then we'll have it in, on cable, and then broadcast and so forth. And as different models broke that or changed that, when it came to changing how you watch a movie, yeah, there was resistance. But for us, it was always a big factor of, let's do this legally, right? Let's not take any shortcuts. Let's just make sure that we're doing this absolutely legally. We did a major deal with Walmart, for example. Walmart, they no longer own this streaming service, but they owned a streaming service called Vudu. And so they incorporated Clearplay into their streaming service, and it was available on all your big devices. It was on Roku and all the different types of platforms and things like that. And it was all done with studio blessing. And that's just because we don't want to break copyright law. Right. My very short soapbox on this is the Constitution in 27 words says, to promote the progress of science and useful arts, secure for limited times exclusive right to authors and inventors for their respective writings and discoveries. And that exclusive right to authors for their writings is where copyright comes from. And you think about when, the Constitution 230 something years ago, look at where we were in the creative community. And by securing those exclusive rights to authors, which encompasses musicians, right? And choreographers and filmmakers and all of these arts, that by securing that exclusive right, it provided the economic incentive to be creative and to have broader distribution, all that. And Clearplay, we absolutely want to respect those rights. And so we look at it and say, hey, without ever infringing those constitutional rights that are provided to copyright holders, we provide an additional layer of how I want to watch it. We don't go through and we don't somehow climb into the vault at Warner Brothers and say, hey, look, we're changing this content. You'll never see it this way again. It's while it's playing in your own home, you can come in and say, I'd love to watch this movie. I'd love to share it with my family. There's just this one nude scene that's not going to be appropriate for our audience. And we automatically skip over that, and we do it in a legal and constitutional way. And so that's always been a key for us. And it's what's garnered support industry-wide in how we do it.
How does Clearplay stay compliant with copyright law?
Yeah, great question. The very simple answer. Copyright law gives these exclusive rights to the copyright holder. And if I was to enumerate those, it's the right to make copies. So, a copyright holder, if someone's going to make a copy on another disk, or someone's going to make a copy on a server and stream it, any of these types of copies, and fair use comes into play, and that's a totally separate topic. But the copyright holder has the right to make copies. So that's one thing. And Clearplay doesn't make any copies. The other thing is that the copyright holder has a right to what's called derivative works. So, for example, you may see that someone comes along and tries writing Harry Potter book number 8, right? Or book number 9 or something. And the copyright holder actually has the rights to making these derivative works. And Clearplay does not create a derivative work. And there's a lot of reasons why that is the case, but we don't do that. And the law is very clear on that. And the Family Movie Act makes that explicitly clear, that we don't create a derivative work. The other right that a copyright holder has is a public performance. So, I can go and rent a movie, or I can, stream a movie in my home for my household and my close friends and things like that. But if I start charging tickets or making it a bigger audience, that becomes a public performance. And so because we don't make copies, right, and because we don't make derivative works, then we're not performing any public performances as well. So we avoid that. But those major tenets of copyright law, we don't affect. We don't step in. We don't somehow encroach on those. All we're providing is a layer of playback while you're in your own home watching it.
And you mentioned a law that was actually passed, and you had a part in that, didn't you?
Yeah, it was called the Family Movie Act.
There we go.
Yeah, and that was, I want to say 2004, 2005. It went through Congress. It was just they wanted some clarity around this topic of, hey, is someone in their own home, if they're using software and they're skipping scenes, is that creating a derivative work of any kind? And the law was already somewhat settled on this, that it wasn't. And we had plenty of people who were already, providing opinions saying, clearly that's not a derivative work. It's not a work, therefore it can't be a derivative work. And there's a lot of technical details. But Congress came in and said, hey, let's just codify this. Let's make sure there is zero confusion. And it was one of the few bills that was unanimous. I mean, how many bills do we have nowadays where you have everyone saying yes on a bill? And it was a unanimous voice vote in House and Senate. And that passed into law. And it was signed by the president on my birthday of all days.
I think the reason much of it had to do with in it being unanimous, which really is a phenomenon for Congress, is that it really gives specific rights to the people who are watching.
Yeah.
If this is in your home and you are making the decision, so it isn't Clearplay that's making the decision. You've created the decision sets for decisions to be made in each household. And we're really concerned about this. We're not so concerned about that. Mm-hmm. We're kind of divided. We're right in the middle on this one. We're way out on this one and way off on another one. And it gives every individual or every family the right to kind of review and set things for each movie. And it empowers the user. And I think there's just too little of that, and it is such a benefit for us. And bless you for doing it.
Yeah, well, thank you, John. And it was definitely a group effort. I can't take any credit myself, but there was all kinds of people who stepped up and helped make that happen. So
one more question, Matt. What is the next step? And our goal is to help you with it, to get to the TV screen without the intermediary PC, without the need to install a specific device or software or make it a clunky experience.
Well, yeah, obviously, we want going back to our how, where, when type model. How has had this kind of roller coaster ride, right? Where we're able to do this on DVDs and Blu-rays. Then obviously that technology declines and you have the advent of streaming. And then we're coming and say, well, how do we make this work on streaming and still do this legally? And so we've done it where we can be an overlay, and then that limits which platforms you can be on. And so then we did some partnerships, right? Where we connected with Walmart and said, hey, integrate this into your playback technology. And Walmart has all the necessary licensing to do that, from the various studios. And so then it was on all these different devices. And Walmart got out of the streaming business. They sold Vudu. And so we went back and said, okay, we want to still keep this legal. We know the technology works on all these devices. It just needs to be where no copies are being made in the process, and a number of elements of just copyright protection. And so right now it's only available on your PC. That's not a limitation of the technology. It's just us being so mindful of copyright. But as you come to us and say, hey, look, we're building this streaming service. We're adding in these titles. We're obtaining every necessary license to do this and doing it all legally. Then yeah, sure, we can deploy wherever you're deployed. We can deploy as well. So it's, and that makes it so you can not only watch it how you want to watch it, but where you want to watch it again on your different devices and when you want to watch it, all those things. And so these are revolutions that happen, and it changes the entire industry, and we're all part of this really exciting one of letting you in your own home choose to watch a family-friendly version of a movie.
One of the questions we get often is, well, what happens when Netflix or Disney or one of these others implements this technology and then you no longer are different, and our experience tells us that's not a threat because our experience is that they're not interested in this technology. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to speak for themselves in many ways, but they've certainly shown that this isn't an area that they have focus on right now. Yeah. I don't know if that's a helpful answer or not, but yes. And then Clearplay has a number of patents as well. So, we've been doing this for a while, and we've had some patents that have now expired, and we have some new patents that have come in, and we're constantly, as we're on the bleeding edge of this, we look at this and say, all right, let's see, how do we adapt this? Oh, that's something new. And, to have a patent, it's pretty amazing, because that means, as crazy as this sounds, it means you're the first person to think of this. But that goes back to the constitutional part that says to promote the progress of science and useful arts, secure for limited times to authors on one side for copyright and inventors for patents to their respective writings and discoveries. And so, we've gone that route as well, not to try and limit it, but because we have investors who come in and say, hey, let's figure this out. And we put our heads together, we really think through it and say, this is a solution. And I don't think anyone's doing this. Let's see if it's patentable. And that just helps us protect the investors and also create an environment where we can excel. So yeah, it's just like copyrights, patents come into play as well.
As you know, we're very big proponents of patents, and that's one thing we want to do is honor yours, and we bring some of our own, and that makes it a unique offering. What I'd like to do is introduce something to our investor community. We are currently in a discussion about which features should go first, which features should be developed second. It's called a development roadmap. If you have an interest, in a particular interest in this film, there were 14% of you that said, my values are really why I'm investing in MyStreme. This particular feature is set for what we call version 1.x. And often you see in software where there's version 1.2, 1.3. We don't know exactly where it's going to fall yet because we're still working out the details of budget. And so as we get the funding, we can move this into our development roadmap and actually move it up sooner as we get funded. So if you have interest in making sure this particular feature gets the necessary funding and we can meet this round, we're going to have an email that's going to go out to you. And within 24 hours, if you respond to that email and invest, we're going to take that investment fund and put it in our budget toward the execution on this particular integration. Super important, super excited. And we believe that all of our investors want this. We just know that there's a few of you out there who have said, I would give up everything else to make sure this feature is part of the set.
Yeah. And the sooner the better. I think there's a lot of folks that are pretty eager for this. And now's the opportunity to let your voice be heard.
We introduced this to our investor community as a brand new news. This is very, very new, very excited. And if you have an interest, you can go online. You can invest at the WeGo.one channel, which is now our own crowd fund, and we're building up that. So you can go in there and you can invest. If you invest within 24 hours of this video, then we're going to budget this toward the Clearplay integration for version 1.x to be determined, and super excited to see it come to life as our developers are working furiously to figure out how does this now integrate to the bigger vision. And thank you for your time. Thank you for the show. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. And
thank you.
We're super excited to be in a letter of intent with you.
Yeah, thanks so much.